Oh, you're going already?
I'm going.
Hey guys, this is Warren here from Toit Fishing. If you want to check us out, like, subscribe, and get on our website.
Nice. Well, man.
Guys, this is the Clinch Knot Overview. I hope you find it really interesting. I've tried to break it down into all the different little areas where this knot is really good and where it's like garbage. But give it a check and see what you think. My first observation is that it's very similar to the Bimini twist. Let me explain. Now, we all know the reputation and prestige this knot has held on its wraps for a very long time. According to the Ashley Booker knots, this or a very similar derivative called the salmon knot with only 2 wraps was being used in the days of waxed lines. It's a very revered and outstanding knot where you have 2 strands of line being counter-wrapped by another strand in the opposite direction. This technique is also evident in the clinch knot. Now, I know a lot of you will be thinking no ways, but let me show you. Once you have the clinch knot to the stage of putting the tag in through the loop and start to tighten it down, you will notice the knot begin to twist. From this you will see 2 things happen. Firstly, the standing inside of the knot will begin to unwind and wind down in the opposite direction. And secondly, the single line that was running down to the loop begin to twist around the 2 wraps you created earlier. The combination of these 2 results in it overwrapping itself. This is why the knot is so good and showing a very similar technique in the Bimini twist. My second observation that I really like about the clinch knot is its actual look. There are no additional pieces of line running alongside the knot. It's very linear and looks neat. The third reason I really like this knot is the fact that the tag end comes out the rear of the knot. This is particularly important when fishing freshwater lakes or weeded areas. If the tag was coming out the front of the knot, it would create an area to snag weed, especially when you're lure fishing or fly fishing in freshwater. The fourth reason I really like this knot is, although many people say it's difficult to form the knot in really heavy line, where the wraps do not naturally form over each other easily, I can show you a couple of ways to tie the knot to alleviate this problem using a sample piece of 100-pound monofilament. Firstly, once the knot is formed, start tightening the knot and then stop and unwind the top part onto the bottom part. Then cinch the knot down. The other way to do this is done when you do the initial wraps. Only wrap 3 wraps up, then 2 wraps down in the same direction you started wrapping the cinch down. Thicker lines will struggle to form, so they need a little help. Another part I really like about this knot is the starting point of the knot. Does not matter when tying hooks. Whether you put it in through the top of the eyelet of the hook or the bottom, it does not matter, as the tag will always form with the tag coming out to the side of the eyelet of the hook. Now I want to go over some shortfalls of the clinch knot. The first biggest shortfall is the slippage factor of this knot, especially tying with modern Spectra or Dyneema braided lines and really small diameter monofilament or fluorocarbon. Although if you have taken the time to prepare, as I mentioned in the previous clinch knot video, you will have an understanding of how many wraps to use on all your different line types. The second shortfall on the clinch knot is the tag end length. This is very evident on thicker lines, especially monofilament and fluorocarbon. If the tag end is cut off right next to the end of the knot, you will see when I move the knot and line in a very erratic way and put a little pressure on the tag, the knot will fail. The 1/8 rule or 3mm tag end is really important, as seen here on a 100-pound monofilament. The biggest shortfall of the clinch knot is the relationship with the tag end and the triangular loop that is formed when the knot is finished off. The tag end really does not get locked down enough, and this is very evident on thicker lines, and the knot will fail all too easily, especially if you snip the tag end close to the end of the knot detail. Basically, you are relying on a triangular shaped detail clamping a circular diameter of line. It becomes even more evident on larger hooks and swivels with the thicker wire. In addition to this, with monofilament line, you have this additional factor of stretchy line to consider. You'll notice the triangular detail open up even more, making the situation worse. The tag end will slip through if there's no friction or force holding it in place. Another topic I want to touch on finally is the subject of heat. If you get heat into your knot, when cinching the knot, it will compromise the knot and the section of the line heading out to the knot. Try this for yourself. Tie a clinch knot and don't wet it, and tighten it really fast and then put it under your tongue like it's really hot. Heat will compromise the knot, so make sure you wet it. Let me sum it up for you, as you might be wondering why you even use this knot. You may even think it's trash. Look, this is a good knot. You need to understand a few principles of how it works and what its strengths are. I like the fact I can show my 7-year-old twins how to tie this knot and they can have a go. Look, if you make sure the knot is neat, you make sure you've tested it and cinched it down really well, and you use the knot on 30-pound line or lighter, you should be good to go. Please use the 30-pound comment very broadly as a guide. It's a real quick knot to tie, so if you're fly fishing or catching small fish, I wouldn't hesitate to rely on this knot. Now, if I rated this knot, I'd probably give it about a 6.5 out of 10. Thanks for listening, and I hope you guys enjoyed this content. I hope all of you can take something new away and have a better appreciation and understanding of this knot. Be safe out there, take your kids fishing or your neighbour's kids fishing and get them tying. Me and a buddy of mine fishing off the dock one morning, and we got a chum bag in the water, and typical unprepared. You got one rod each, you're fishing, a couple little fish come along, tie a hook on, you're catching these little fish. The next thing, these jacks pull in, you're like, what the? Okay, let's change up. So you go back on the bench, you're tying up, you get your new hook on, you put your bait on, and it's like, what the hell, where have these freaking jacks gone? It's like, okay, yeah, okay, back to the small hook, cut that off, small hook back on, you're fishing for the small hook. Oh, I've got a blue runner on, sweet, get that bad boy in. Then it's like, oh my gosh, did you just see what happened to my blue runner? Freaking Cuda just freaking ate that thing and off. Stuff this. Right, off comes the hook, so you got another freaking knot. You tie on a steel leader, you winding up the wire, and you stick on this hook, and you get one of Kevin's little bait fish out, and you stick it on, and it's like in the water, and nothing happens. And you're like, oh, are you kidding me? It's very evident when you're doing this sort of thing that if you don't know how to tie your knots really quickly, or like what stuff to do, or like how quick to do it, where to find your freaking cutters. I mean, half the time Kevin's got them in his pocket. I'm like, what the freak, dude? Get your own cutters. But anyway, all I'm saying is preparedness is like majorly freaking important.